Episode 15 begins with Sanha announcing that he's dating Ju-won. Dae-wook reacts with enthusiasm, while Jung-ji still seems to be processing the news. Sensing Jung-ji's discomfort, Rae-jum tries to step in and support the couple, but Jung-ji stands firm in his opposition. Ju-won argues that Jung-ji had previously said he wouldn't object if they dated other people and emphasizes that Sanha is loyal and trustworthy, but Jung-ji remains steadfast. On the car ride home, Rae-jum tries to cheer up Sanha, who feels disappointed. He suggests that Jung-ji was just caught off guard and believes he'll come around eventually. However, Sanha understands his father's perspective, saying he'd probably react the same way if Ju-won, his precious daughter, were in the same situation. Rae-jum, always caring, tries to console Sanha, and the bond between the three is heartwarming. Meanwhile, Dae-wook talks with Jung-ji to understand why he opposed the relationship. Jung-ji explains that he fears that, in the future, Sanha and Ju-won might hide their struggles from each other since they both have a tendency to solve everything on their own. He also mentions that if their relationship ends, it would be impossible for them to go back to being siblings. Jung-ji adds that even though it's Sanha, he'll always be on Ju-won's side. Dae-wook counters by saying that he will support his son unconditionally. Later, a conflicted Jung-ji looks at pictures of Ju-won as a child. Ju-won calls him, sounding emotional, and thanks him for always taking such good care of her, even as a single father. She praises his dedication, recalling how she always had clean clothes and felt well cared for. Finally, she apologizes and asks him to trust her. When Jung-ji returns home, he finds Sanha waiting for him on the stairs. The two start talking over drinks. Sanha admits he knew Jung-ji might oppose their relationship but had still hoped for his approval. Jung-ji asks why he didn't just maintain a sibling-like bond with Ju-won instead of complicating things. Sanha replies that he couldn't suppress his feelings and vows to do everything he can to protect Ju-won, even if it means waiting as long as necessary for Jung-ji's approval. Jung-ji expresses his wish for Ju-won to have a normal life and then goes to bed. Before he sleeps, Sanha brings him tea and says he's always wanted to live a normal life with Ju-won by his side. The next day, a cheerful Rae-jum discovers that his mom has added photos of him to her phone. She comments on how happy he looked playing basketball and encourages him to pursue what he loves without feeling pressured to go professional. Meanwhile, Ju-won arrives at the bakery while on the phone with Sanha. He surprises her, and she, startled, accidentally knocks him over. Sanha gets injured on his forehead and side and is taken to the hospital. Ju-won feels guilty, while Sanha, feeling possessive, makes a point to show Ju-ho that he's Ju-won's boyfriend. Jung-ji arrives at the hospital, concerned, and questions Ju-won about what happened. Sanha, as expected, takes the blame, which irritates Jung-ji, who tells him he knew he'd do that. Dae-wook arrives, worried about Ju-won's well-being, and teases Jung-ji by reminding him of his promise to always be on Ju-won's side. Later, Rae-jum tries to talk to Dal, who is still embarrassed and avoids him. He insists, asking about her feelings and why she decided to confess. Dal explains that it was a spur-of-the-moment decision but immediately regretted it, believing Rae-jum doesn't like her. He suggests that maybe he does, but quickly clarifies that he only sees her as a sister. What a complicated situation. Dae-wook seeks advice from a police officer friend about how to help Jung-ji approve of the relationship. His friend suggests bringing something Jung-ji likes. Determined, Dae-wook buys a gift and blames himself for not teaching his son about love earlier. At the restaurant, Mrs. Sanim praises Sanha and how much he's grown. However, when she mentions that he inherited his serious demeanor from his mother, Jung-ji scolds her and walks out. At that moment, Rae-jum's mother arrives and, after tripping, is caught by Jung-ji in an unexpectedly romantic moment. Dae-wook, arriving with a basket of fruit, witnesses the scene and awkwardly leaves. It was hilarious. Mrs. Sanim notices the chemistry between Jumji and Rajam's mother and hints that they'd make a good pair, despite Jumji's resistance. Always sharp, she continues her role as a matchmaker. Rajam considers applying for a basketball coaching job suggested by a friend. When the friend mentions that Dal was rejected, Rajam seems uneasy, especially after learning she stayed in town for him. It looks like he's starting to realize his true feelings. Meanwhile, Dal confides in her mother, expressing sadness and low self-esteem due to her mom's constant criticism. She shares her pain of loving someone who doesn't return her feelings, leaving her mom visibly affected. At the hospital, Senha advises a child worried about her mom's sadness to focus on enjoying her childhood and trying to understand what would truly make her mother happy. Inspired, Senha decides to visit his own mom for an important conversation. However, Senha's mother confronts Ju-won, asking her to end the relationship. She insinuates that their feelings aren't love and threatens to cut ties with her son. Ju-won becomes deeply upset and spends the entire night working, avoiding Senha, who notices her fever and cares for her tenderly. Dal finally confronts Rajam, rejecting his brotherly concern and declaring she doesn't need scraps of affection. It was a powerful moment for her. Senha confronts his mother, revealing the scars of his past that he had hidden to protect her. He opens up about his pain following his sister's death and admits he often felt guilty but kept his feelings buried to shield his mom. However, he reaffirms his belief in their shared happiness. Meanwhile, Ju-won talks with Jumji, trying to understand love. He explains that love is an unconditional feeling, and Ju-won realizes that her feelings for Senha are genuine. The next day, Ju-won meets Senha at the train station and, with a smile, declares that she loves him deeply. The episode ends with the two sharing a passionate kiss. We're ready for the thrilling finale. Don't forget to like and share to support the channel.